Thank you, Madam Chair and Madam Ranking Member, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being with us and being so generous with your time. Rather than beating the dead horse, I'm going to accept it for a moment. And right. I appreciate a couple of things you said. You referred to 3 priorities of how to deal with or how to push science and technology investment toward a low carbon economy. You mentioned nuclear, you mentioned renewables, and the third thing you mentioned was carbon capture and sequestration, and I don't think we've spent any time specifically on that today as a priority, and I'd like to explore that. Coming from North Dakota, where we enjoy the lowest electricity prices in the country due to the low cost of coal, and the fact that we burn it right there and generate electricity, and the fact that we enjoy a good economy as a result of the very high price of oil, I want to talk about the Department's strategy in terms of investment in capturing carbon and using it and injecting it into oil fields for enhanced oil recovery. Your commitment to that, what do you see as that as a possible future scientifically and in research and development in that arena?
Thank you. Actually, I would say that, in fact, I think 2 years ago, when I was at MIT, with the University of Texas at Austin, we had a workshop specifically on CO2 for enhanced oil recovery. Maybe for others not as familiar, I might just say that today, it's not a great and widely known story that we are using today 60 million tons of CO2 annually to produce 300,000 barrels of oil per day from enhanced oil recovery. And, you know, it's a little bit shaky, but an analysis done for the Department a few years ago indicates there may be a factor of 10 still to be had. That would be 3 million barrels of oil per day. But to have enough CO2, we need to capture it from power plants or industrial facilities. Today, largely using the stimulus funds of several billion dollars went into, I think we have now 6 major projects moving forward on carbon capture and storage, and I believe, I can check the exact numbers, but I believe 4 of those will use enhanced oil recovery. So clearly, getting the economic value of the oil helps you with the cost of capturing the carbon.
Precisely. One of those projects is called the Plains CO2 Reduction Partnership in North Dakota at the University of North Dakota.
Yep.
Energy and Environmental Research.
Head of one of the regional partnerships.
Yes, that's exactly correct. And so I guess I want to use the opportunity to encourage you to continue that investment there, because we really, first of all, geologically there are lots of opportunities, obviously, and when you have 8 billion or more barrels of recoverable oil at current technology, like we have in North Dakota, and a 800-year supply of coal that we'd like to burn for a very long time to generate low-cost electricity. If we could find this opportunity to capture that CO2, which we understand is a challenge, and yet we do it quite effectively, up to 50% of it in our coal gasification facility at least. I would encourage that type of an investment where there's already a proven cost benefit, and as you said, a potential for much greater. One other area of
could I just interject? Please, and of course, the Great Plains plant you referred to was an old DOE investment.
It certainly was, and boy, what a history it has. Thank you. One other area I just want to pursue, since I have the time, is that you've been quite specific about your plans for dealing with LNG export and approving applications for LNG ports on a case-by-case basis, which seems prudent. But realizing that there are a number of applications in front of you where the comment period has ended, and some have been waiting for months, is there any chance of expediting some of that in a responsible way, given the demand in the world and the fact that global markets are, kind of present this window of opportunity for us as a country? Could you just comment a little bit on that, realizing it's a little outside the scope, perhaps, of science?
That is fundamentally my plan. Of course, the second license was granted shortly before I became Secretary. As I said in my confirmation process, I needed a few weeks to, and I'm still just 3 weeks, basically, a few weeks to go over the process, look at the inputs, et cetera, not commissioning new studies or anything. I think, we're getting kind of to the place where I think this kind of review, my personal review period is is maturing, and then I plan to go expeditiously, as I've committed. I understand some of the frustrations and some of the market opportunities, and we also realize that even with a conditional license granted, of course, there's still a lot of work the companies have to do in terms of assembling the capital, getting the customers, getting the suppliers all lined up. So I want to move expeditiously. I've certainly committed to having a strong review process this year.
Thank you for your access today and your willingness to be so frank with us. Appreciate that. Thank you. My time's obviously expired.